Let's start with the scene between Julie and the man in yellow. The man in yellow tells Julie we have to stop meeting like this. Then he asks, "When did you come from this time?" He also says, "Did anyone tell you there is no way to change a story once it is told?" That line is important because it confirms that Julie has been story walking through different points in time and that she's been seeing the man in yellow while doing it. I think we're going to see her continue doing that throughout the season. We may even start witnessing certain places and events in the town through Julie's perspective as she moves through these different chapters of the story. In the trailer, it looks like Julie's story walked in season 2, episode 9. One thing we know for sure is that Julie does not listen, and she has been like that since the very beginning of the show. Back in season 3, episode 10, Ethan told her that she can visit the chapters, but she cannot change the story. That means every time Julie crosses through a threshold, she is entering a different chapter of the larger story. Because of that, I think we could see her go back to 1978 when the massacre happened, possibly from Victor's perspective. That would also give us a chance to finally learn what happened to Victor's sister, and maybe even see more scenes involving Miranda and Christopher. The truth is, Victor has never told us everything. He has only been giving us pieces. I also think Julie may be able to go back even further, possibly all the way to 1506, where the original curse or sacrifice may have begun. If that happens, the writers could finally start giving us answers about the major events that shaped this town. I don't think they're going to reveal everything all at once in season 4, but I do believe we're moving toward a fuller understanding of the town's history. At the same time, I don't think Julie can story walk into the future because that would defeat the purpose of the mystery. The show clearly wants us to focus on the past because the past is where the foundation of the sacrifice was laid. Another interesting detail is that Julie still seems to be in the early stages of being a story walker. She doesn't fully understand what comes with that ability yet. I also believe there are probably other thresholds she can access, but she simply hasn't discovered them yet. As for whether anyone else can story walk, I personally don't think so. I know some people have suggested Randall and Marielle, but I don't think that's true. Both of them still seem to be dealing with the trauma and aftermath of what happened to them, not unlocking some new supernatural role. I think the idea of a story walker may actually come from children's books. Now, this is just a theory of mine, and this is my opinion, especially the books connected to Ethan, like the Chromonocle, The Adventures of the Grand Googlegog, and The Lake of Tears. Back in season 1, episode 2, Ethan told Jim that he saw the Lake of Tears, and at the time, it sounded like a childish imagination, but later we saw those drawings on the wall leading to Victor's room. It started to feel like those stories might actually be real. There were so many drawings on the walls, almost like pages from a child's illustrated book. The Matthews family was in them, and Ethan was surprisingly accurate when he talked about what he saw. That's what makes me think the Lake of Tears may not just be a made-up story. It could be an actual place or event connected to this town. And honestly, the more I think about it, the more it feels like all these characters are trapped inside some kind of twisted children's story. Think about it. So many of the stories, songs, rhymes, and warnings we hear throughout the series feel like things passed down by the townspeople, loved ones. Nursery rhymes, folklore, lullabies, bedtime stories, it all seems connected. To me, the show has always been blending children's stories, folklore, fantasy, biblical themes, sci-fi, horror, and mystery into one big genre mix, whether IMDb labels it that way or not. On top of that, a lot of the characters' dreams, fears, nightmares, and childhood traumas ended up coming to life in the town. A perfect example when Sarah tells Kenny that Nathan was afraid of cicadas, and then that exact fear becomes real. I still think that the fears or nightmares of those who died end up becoming part of the forest. I think the Nkui children created this story from the lullabies Miranda and Christopher used to sing to them, a way to comfort themselves and begin healing. But as time passed, that pain turned into anger, especially after they felt betrayed by the people they trusted most. That anger may have been what ultimately created the curse. It's possible. The children pour their hope into the roots of the tree, which then became the faraway portal trees or even the fallen tree that traps people in the town. In doing so, they may have intended to trap others there, hoping those people would eventually figure out how to save them. And if you look back at the first episode with the crows, those crows might actually represent the Nkui kids watching the townspeople. I don't think Ethan is controlling the narrative. If this really is structured like a dark children's tale, then it would make sense for it to include more than just a story walker. You also expect an illustrator, a storyteller, a trickster, magical beings, and when you look at the world of From, it really does have all these elements. Now let's talk about the man in yellow. He tells Jim that this is his favorite part, what Jim is about to miss. That line says a lot. I personally don't think the man in yellow is going to be some type of villain who personally attacks people all the time because he is disguised as Sophia and he don't want to get caught. I think that his power is much darker than that. I think he really enjoys watching people fall apart. He manipulates, he distorts, he influences, he pushes people mentally and emotionally until they break. I think that's what his super ability is. And if that's true, then it opens up a very interesting theory involving Christopher. Now, remember when Victor told Jay that Christopher used to be kind, used to make people laugh, and then suddenly change? That makes me wonder, did the man in yellow shapeshift into Christopher? Because now that we know he may be capable of changing form, it makes Christopher's story even more suspicious. Now let's talk about Sophia and the era she may have come from. Based on her clothing and overall look, I'm guessing she came from either the 1950s or 1960s. And if that's true, then that means the man in yellow has likely been connected to this town for a very long time. We also need to know how Sophia died because I think that could reveal a lot about who she really is. Right now, nobody truly knows her. She seems to be trying to blend in, make people feel sorry for her, and act like she doesn't understand what's happening. Now, I have to be honest, the conversation between Tabitha and Jade really irritate me. Tabitha spent so much time last season trying to understand how to free the children, studying Victor's drawings, and chasing clues, only to now act like she doesn't even know if any of it's real. And on top of that, she doesn't want to tell anyone what she and Jade found. That was frustrated to me. I really hope the writers do not send her character back down the same road of, I don't want to talk about it again. Because from the very beginning, Jade has been trying to figure this place out. He has always wanted answers and he understands how important it is to share information. When it comes to the reincarnation theory, I still think there is something there. If Jade is reincarnation of Christopher and Tabitha is the reincarnation of Miranda, then a lot of Jade's visions start to make more sense. Back in season 1, Jade saw the man trapped under the rock in the cellar, and then later he saw the Civil War soldier running past him. What if those weren't random visions at all? What if Jade was seeing his own past incarnations? Think about it. Jay is the one who keeps seeing people connected to the town's history. He saw the man drinking from the skull. He keeps seeing figures from different time periods. That could mean he has been reincarnated here over and over again. And if that's true, then the little boy in the trailer may not just be some random child. He could actually be one of Jay's earlier forms. This town has clearly been built on sacrifice, and that sacrifice has likely been repeated for centuries. That would explain the dates carved into the lighthouse. It suggests that multiple groups of people have failed to save the children before, and because they failed, they keep coming back again and again. Tabitha's experience seems slightly different. We haven't really seen all of her reincarnations yet, only Miranda. It feels like more like she is receiving glimpses of the past through the towns itself rather than directly seeing every version of herself. Now, I will say this, she has seen herself when she was a little girl, but she was having dreams about it to that particular town. Then we get to Fatima, who tries to explain that she saw a glimpse of what happened to the monsters, that they made some kind of bargain. And as the audience, we already know what that likely means because Tabitha basically explained it back in season 3. The adults sacrificed their children for immortality, but I believe they were tricked because yes, they may have gained some form of immortality, but they became monsters in the process. And now they can only come out at night. They doesn't sound like a reward. That sounds like a curse disguised as a promise. I also think the sacrifice may have started in that room where Fatima had the monster baby. It feels like that could be the original birthing room. My theory is that the Komoan lady took those babies who later became the Nkui kids to the cave, and they've been there ever since. The scene where Sophia's line to Kenny is also important when she quotes the Bible, "The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." According to Sophia, there is a reference to John 1:5, but in the context of the show, it could also symbolize something much bigger. Maybe the lighthouse, maybe the church, or maybe something deeper spiritual force that still exists in this town despite all the evil. Now, let's go back to the people who were slaughtered in the 1970s when Victor was a child. I'm starting to think that the man in yellow, or maybe even the kimono lady, offered those people the same kind of bargain and maybe they refused. That would explain why this place feels like one giant repeating cycle. A new group arrives, they are tested, they are manipulated, they are pushed towards a bargain, and the cycle repeats over and over again with different people. Then let's talk about Boyd, because by the episode, he is completely broken. At first, I didn't think the show was going to turn him into a monster because that just wouldn't make sense for his character. But in a way, the monsters still got what they wanted. They broke his spirit. And for creatures like that, destroying someone's hope may be even more powerful than killing them. When Boyd tells Ellis that he can't do this anymore, that was one of the most painful moments of the episode. When it also connects back to what he told Kenny before, that if the time ever comes when the monsters truly get to them, he would rather the townspeople do what needs to be done than let each other suffer endlessly. Boyd has been carrying the weight of this town on his shoulders for so long. He was trying to find answers, tried to keep people alive, tried to stay strong, and no matter what he does, things just keep getting worse. He's exhausted. I think we're finally seeing the emotional cost of that. As for the scene with the cabins moving and the food spilling in the kitchen, I think that might actually be Jim. Maybe he's angry, maybe he's trapped, or maybe he's trying to get Tabitha and the kids' attention from wherever he is now. I'm still not fully sure what Tabitha was looking at in the scene beyond the spilled food, so there may be something there I'm missing. But it's definitely felt like a moment that was meant to suggest some kind of supernatural presence. And then there is the scene where Sophia tells Father that he's going to miss the best part, which connects back to what I mentioned earlier. It also flashes back to her seemingly causing Father to have those seizures. My question is, do you think the man in yellow has been causing these seizures the entire time? It seems like it started with Ethan, Sarah, and Elgin. Or could it be that these seizures happen when the characters are receiving messages or experiencing visions of the boy in white? That tells me there is definitely a deeper reason the town was going to get another father country. Because in the show, nothing ever feels random. Everything feels like it's part of a story, part of a pattern, part of the cycle repeating itself again. And that's what makes the episode so interesting. So, Overall, I think From season 4, episode 1 is already setting up some huge reveals around Julie's story walking, the man in yellow, Sophia, the reincarnation, and the idea that this entire town may be operating like a dark, twisted children's story that keeps repeating itself across generations. And as I said before, this is just my theory and my opinion of what I think what From is about. That's all I have for From season 4, episode 1. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this episode, and I would love to hear your theories. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, comment a yellow heart so I know you stay until the end. Coming up next, I will be reviewing Widow's Bay, and also I do have the playlist of Paradise season 2 where I explain all my theories of who Alex is. Please make sure you check that out as well. Thank you so much for watching my channel. Make sure you like and subscribe, and until then, see you later.